Oh man, would Zoss ever consider making more types of PvP, rank dueling? Yeah, so the Real Godzilla, one of the big things that I have talked about many times on the stream, right now performance in PvP sucks. Well, let me say it differently. Performance in PvP during prime time in Cyrodiil sucks. It doesn't make any sense to introduce more types of PvP or more things into Cyrodiil if it's just going to make it worse. Case in point, destructible mod gates and bridges, the Volendrung, that kind of stuff. They were small little things that changed things up, but performance got worse as a result. We have a million ideas of things we can do, things we would like to do, but it doesn't matter until PvP is fun. And so that's what we're working on.
What is going on, guys? So today I wanted to talk about some of Rich Lambert's comments on his stream over the past few days. Now, he is one of ESO's creative directors for the Elder Scrolls Online and is one of the only outspoken developers that I know that PvP. So on Halloween, I went into his stream and wanted to ask him a few questions about PvP and get some insight from a developer's perspective. Now, after watching his stream, I can say he's a really nice guy and he really cares about PvP and wants it to work. Regardless of what you take from this video, he is our only hope of ever getting a workable PvP environment where lag and skill delay get fixed. No other dev talks about PvP as much as he does openly in his streams, and honestly, I applaud him for it, because PvP has been down and frustrating for far too long and has created an echo chamber of disappointed PvP community that rattle off the same things over and over again. Performance is trash, lag gets worse, PvP is dead, Dark Convergence is broken, fix PvP, and we need new content. It's just a never-ending honeydew list. Now, we are all consumers of ESO and have every right to be frustrated, but as we all know, with every job, there is an unseen aspect that you do that the customer never sees. The task of fixing Cyrodiil is probably too far over their heads. ESO is a one-of-a-kind game that was brave enough to release a massive multiplayer PvP experience with hundreds of abilities going off at once on 3 different platforms. Now, we can only speculate the issues, but Rich talks about some of the main problems here.
You heard from a few people, we are possibly getting some PvP fixes? Yes, Real Godzilla. The team is actively working on making Cyrodiil gooder, better, however you want to say it. But it's a tough problem. It's a load problem. And load problems are not easy to reproduce internally. We don't have hundreds of thousands of employees. And we can't all be on at the same time. And the bot testing we do doesn't replicate player activity. But all the tests that we've run in Cyrodiil over the last, I guess, half year or so have given us some really good things to work on. So that's what they're working on right now.
So with the server load issue, as we all know, it's probably just faction stacking, being at one keep, having 5,100 players in that small area. But the thing is, if we take a look back at ESO in 2014 and 2015, that wasn't the case. If you guys played that long, this is why the PvP community is so frustrated. It's like you newer players may have no experience in actual really large PvP fights. Like I'm talking 300-400 people in one area. And the issue wasn't the servers, the issue would have been on your platform. So if you're on PlayStation, and there'd be many times I would DC and I'd load right back in after I would DC from the server because the PlayStation was frying almost, because that's how many animations and abilities were going off. Now, obviously, there was some skill delay issues, but it wasn't near as bad as it is now with the amount of people were on screen. I mean, there was 300-400 people, like level 10s attacking a keep, okay? Like, I'm not even joking. There was like 400 people at the door, and there were just people falling over from oil, and there was minimal issues. The only bad thing was frame rate, and that was again the performance issue on the console itself and not on the server. So when us longtime vets are frustrated with the game, it's because we're passionate about it. It's because we played this game at its best. We've only seen it degrade over time.
Something that helps separate us from other games is the large-scale PvP, and it worked. That's the other side of things. Like at launch, it was really, really good. There were a few, smaller performance things, but you could have 300 people on screen and have these insane keep defenses and have a great time. You can't really do that anymore. We want to get back to that, and we have a way to get back to that. It's just going to take time.
But here's where the crossroads has taken its route, is how long has Dynamax promised better performance. That's the biggest issue that I have with a lot of what he's saying. I want to believe that they can fix it. I want to believe that they're going to fix it. But based on their past precedent and their actions, they could have been trying all this time. You know, I don't know. But from the results that have been shown, it's not fixed anything. It's better yet gotten worse. And I don't want to harp on that. I don't want to always be negative. You know, it's not fun to always, you know, complain about the game. I want to, you know, say good things about it because, you know, this game's fun. And for the veterans out there, you guys know that that's the reason why we still play this game, is because we want to return back to that nostalgia of why we like this game in the first place. Even with all of its bad performance issues, even with all of its problems, I want to say 70-60% of us are still here. You know, a few other people that just got fed up with it, that, you know, just can't wait for the performance to come back, and that there's, you know, maybe other games they want to play, then, you know, that's all them. But a lot of us, there is no better game out there, regardless of all the bugs, issues, performance problems, all of that. And that's why we still play, is because we still like the game. From the creative director's perspective, it's his responsibility to make the game, you know, pretty much a whole. So it's going to incorporate PvE aspects, PvP. He wants basically the game to work well and have good press. That's pretty much what it is. And I think that's why he's taking a liking to PvP, also based on his past experience. He's worked on Dark Age of Camelot, I do believe, or something of that nature. Even played it, I'm not exactly sure.
We demand new PvP content. How about you demand performance before adding new content? Remember when we added Volendrung, how bad performance got? Remember when we added Destructible Malgates and Bridges, how bad performance got, especially on consoles? We have to chase that for a long time. I don't want to do that. I want to make performance good and then start adding things slowly and being very careful about what we add and what we do. But I understand the sentiment. Absolutely understand the sentiment. Hey, this side of the game that we love dearly doesn't work, and we feel like you've been ignoring us. I get that. Totally get it.
So like I said at the beginning of this video, he is our only hope of ever getting a PvP that we remember. He's the only one that's outspoken about it. He's the only one that at least talks about PvP and talks about the frustrations that we have. Because he may not play the PvP as much as, you know, we do, but he at least understands the concepts around it. You know, I asked him a few questions about Dragon Leap, and he said that they are aware of it. I asked him a few questions about Fossilize, and they are aware of it. So there are issues and problems that at least he understands what's going on, and that there's problems. Will these get fixed? We'll just have to wait to see. What I would hope for is to at least get a rough timeline on what's to be expected, because we remember back in the day when the performance year was upon us and we were supposed to get some performance fixes, and then COVID hit, and I think that's what threw a loop into a lot of things that ZeniMax was planning on doing. So I hope that we can get some sort of rough timeline, and then we get some, you know, some concrete details on what's going on, maybe a little bit of transparency of what's been the problem and the issues. And honestly, I think that this could go a long ways for the PvP community. The reason I say that is because it just feels like they're only releasing PvE content, and I think a lot has to do with they're really focusing on the lag and performance issues for PvP and not wanting to add anything new, because if they do, it's just going to make it even worse than it already is now. So I can see the sentiment there, but from our perspective, that's not what it feels like. It just feels like we've been abandoned and forgotten about, and they only really care about PvE. So this is why kind of coming to the conclusion of this video is I think it could do some good, whether it's me or another PvP content creator, to talk to Rich Lambert and see what's going on, maybe with a Discord call or interview, to address some issues and concerns that we have as a community. I think this could go a long way if me and him talk, or if even is there no one else, something like that actually talks to him and really, you know, ask him questions, and we can hear things from his perspective and he can hear things from our perspective. Now, we all know that he knows a lot more of our sentiment and frustrations than we do of his. So I think this can do a lot of good to explain really what's going on and really what's happening, and could honestly maybe appease some people, and so they're not so frustrated and so uptight. Because I think in PvP, if you have some lag and then you get hit by Dark Convergence and then something else happens, somebody gets salty, it just puts you to a boiling point and things just stack on top of each other, and that's what causes a lot of frustration. It's not exactly just the performance, it's things piling on top of each other that's causing a lot of issues. and maybe that we can come to some sort of conclusion on a timeline for some of these fixes, what we can expect in the future, and maybe we could receive some status updates every once in a while on what they've been working on, what they've changed, and maybe what potential fixes that they have. Because when they were a little bit more transparent, I felt like the community was a little bit less volatile. But as soon as they stopped talking about performance and stopped updating us on a lot of things, that's when that's when animosity started to build up, and people just got so frustrated with the game. So in conclusion, what I want for the OG PvP to come back. I want PvP to be as fun as it used to be and as lively as it used to be. And I want the PvP community to be happy, because we honestly deserve some very good paradise days of PvP. So if you guys have any questions for Rich Lambert, drop them down in the comment section below. But I hate to have to say this is the internet. So I'm not going to pick your question if you're being an absolute a-hole. Be respectful and ask some good questions. You know, don't just be like, oh, PvP sucks, why is PvP bad? You know, don't ask those stupid questions, all right? Because we all know PvP isn't the best, but it can definitely has a lot of room for improvement, and we know what it used to be. And right now I'm in the works of setting up an interview with Rich. I've already contacted him and he replied back to me on his Twitch. So now I'm in the works of contacting Gina to maybe set up a sort of interview with Rich. But that's it for me, guys. I hope this, maybe provided some insight to you on maybe some potential changes we can get to PvP. But that's it for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.